going on, guys? I just wanted to make one final video on the AdiPure SL, basically my final thoughts on this boot. I will be parting ways with it, so unfortunately these are gonna have to go bye-bye. And I wanted to talk about the AdiPure boot itself, and with me I have the original AdiPure, the first model. Bam, right here. It's almost hard to recognize because I've had this boot for such a long time and I've used it for such a long time. But this is the original AdiPure. It's kind of beat up, and you know, it all started with this, and now it's this. I wanted to talk about the original one because it was such a great boot. It was the beginning of something amazing. And out of all the boots I have, this is my number one of all time favorite boot, the original AdiPure. And I'll tell you why in a second. But let's talk about the AdiPure SL, the newest thing by Adidas. It's got the ID0 sole plate with the ID0 studs, the sprint fit frame with a full kangaroo leather upper. And I just want to tell you the reason why I'm getting rid of these. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the boot. I'm not trying to hate on the AdiPure SL, but I'll admit that it didn't meet my expectations. Now, I've been waiting for this boot for such a long time. I had seen leaked pics about it, 6 months ahead of time, and I had my chance to get these early, and I didn't. I waited, and finally it came through. A 7-ounce kangaroo leather boot. I thought this was, kind of like a throwback to kangaroo leather vapor, because back in the day Nike had their vapor series, and for a short time they had a kangaroo leather vapor. So I thought this is going to be like the closest thing to that, but I was wrong. There's nothing wrong with the boot. It's a great boot. The kangaroo leather is pretty good. My issue with this is the lining, the insides of this. That's the only issue I have with this boot. The outside is great, the inside not so much. The tongue is padded. It's really hard to tell, but this is padded. And this really interferes with the contact on the ball. You almost don't even feel the ball because this is so thick, because the tongue is so thick. And this goes like all the way inside. Like in the inside, it's got like a weird same kind of fabric on it, same kind of like feel to it, same kind of material on the inside, and it gives you a superb tight fit, and it also makes the boot very comfortable. But the bad thing about it is it kind of hinders your feel for the ball. Like it just kind of thickens the upper a bit, and you really don't get a good touch on the ball. I mean, you do get a good touch on the ball, but you don't get like a close feel to the ball. And the only reason why I even noticed that is because I had tried this before. This is the ID0, the leather ID0. I had these a little bit before I got the AdiPure SL, which was a bad idea because I got so used to these. I got so used to how light they were, how thin the upper was. Like this leather is super thin, like really, really thin. And it's not as soft as kangaroo leather, but it's really thin, and it's still pretty soft. So it's a give and take. And then this part's not even leather, it's synthetic. So I was using these for about 2 months, okay? I used these for 2 months, and they turned into an amazing boot. So I thought, well, I can't wait because the AdiPure SL is coming through, and it's only announced more, and it's gonna be full K leather. So it's gonna be an upgrade over the leather ID0. On paper, it made sense, but in reality, it didn't. It didn't actually happen that way. The boot itself, yes, it's light, but the problem that I had is I was so used to how thin the leather on these were, and how close a touch I got to the ball, like how close of a touch I got to the ball, because it's like so thin that when I tried these on, I was put off because they were so thick compared to these. So I was disappointed with these, and well, now they're going. But if you're in the market and you guys were thinking about getting the AdiPure SL, again, it's just my own personal issues with it because I had the leather ID0 and I got so accustomed to it that when I tried these on, it was like off-putting. It was just like, ugh. So, but yeah. So anyways, the reason why I made this video is because I wanted to compare this, the AdiPure SL. I wanted to compare it to the original AdiPure. And the original AdiPure is out of this world. If you have a pair somewhere that you still have, appreciate it because it's an amazing boot. As you can see, I've worn this down to the ground. I mean, look at this. This thing's like falling apart. The leather, what's left of it, but there's a reason. Because I love these boots so much. They were such an amazing boot. There's nothing on the market like this. You had the Copa before this, and the Copas, yeah, they're great, but they were kind of heavy. These, full kangaroo leather, and when I say kangaroo leather, I mean kangaroo leather. Like, this is super duper soft. It's like amazing. And you can see this is the original like sign or logo for a kangaroo leather, and it's stayed true to this model as well. This model has it too. Crap, it's kind of hard to tell because it's black and it's kind of glary right now, but up till now the AdiPure has maintained that kangaroo leather. But honestly, the kangaroo leather on these, on the original AdiPures, are a lot softer, a lot more supple than the ones they're using nowadays. Because this one, it's kangaroo leather, but they made it so it has like a coating, so it's like waterproof and it's more durable. So you don't get that full like natural K leather touch like this. The originals are so amazing, and like I said, if you have a pair somewhere, like hold on to it, cling on to it, appreciate what you had, because they don't make them anymore like this. And one of the issues, the only issues this boot had, is the sole plate. It cracks in half. Anybody that has these will be like, yeah, look, the actual like piece broke off, and that's the only issue I had with them. And even then, I still used them just because they were so amazing. So the reason why I say they're so amazing is because, yes, they were at 9 ounces. These weigh 9 ounces. And at the time, that was pretty light. That was considered pretty light for a kangaroo leather boot. And Adidas didn't really have anything like this in the market. They had the Copas, they had the Predators, and then they had like the F50 series. But these were like actual full kangaroo leather boot with a simple look, really light. The leather is amazing. Like, these feel like a second skin to me because the leather's so soft. I've never had another boot like this before. It's just like kangaroo leather. And this was my first boot that I bought, like full kangaroo leather. This was like my first kangaroo leather boot, and I just fell in love with this boot. So I have a treat for you guys. As you can see, these are worn to the ground. Well, let's check what I have in here, right? brand new ones. These are almost impossible to find nowadays. This is what the original AdiPure looks like. This is the 2011 version of it. And like I said, they just don't make them like they used to. This is brand new, never been used. The kangaroo leather is not even close to how soft it will be eventually. Brand new. I love this boot so much that I don't even want to use them. I don't want to break them in because once I use them, they're wasted. So I'm actually trying to build up my own personal collection of original AdiPures just because they're so amazing and they're so hard to find nowadays. But yeah, so this is the original. If you never had the chance to try out the original AdiPure, all I can say is I'm sorry that you didn't get to try out an amazing boot. And the thing is, you know, this one is 7 ounces, you know, so it is lighter than this one. But the reason why I prefer this one over the AdiPure SL is simply because of the way they feel on your foot. This leather is so soft and it's thin. It doesn't feel thick. It feels perfect around your foot. It takes about 3 or 4 games in these for it to mold to your foot and turn into like the best thing ever. With these, like I said, they put a little coating over them so the leather isn't as soft as it can be, but it's going to be more durable. Obviously, the issue with these is these will wear down quickly because of the leather and because it's so soft and because they really didn't put any protective coating over it. And you know, professional soccer players, they don't have to worry about durability because they get new shoes like every other day. But for your average Joe who, you know, saves up his money to buy these, I mean, you'd wear these down in a couple of months, and then they turn it into what I showed you earlier. Turn into this. And I'll be straight up honest with you guys, I still use these sometimes just because of how amazing they are. And even with the cracked sole plate, I still use them just because that's how much I love this boot. So if you want to know my all-time favorite, this is it right here. At the moment, I'm trying to, you know, find as many pairs as I can in a size 8, 8.5, even a 9. These are actually 9s, and they fit me all right. But ideally, I want some 8.5s or 8s. So if you guys have any of original AdiPures out there, message me because I am willing to drop some money on them. They don't have to be brand new because I know it's hard to find these brand new nowadays. But if they are, you know, in great condition and they have no tears or separations, they're slightly used, hey, shoot me a message and I'll definitely be happy to take them off your hands. But it's crazy how it started with this AdiPure. This is the box, you know, that it came with. When they first made this boot, when they were marketing this boot, Kaká was one of the main guys that wore it. And it's funny because now they're forcing him to wear the new ID Powers, but that's a different story. Anyways, the original AdiPure, there's nothing else like it. It's the best boot out there. I wish they would bring it back. The 2s, the AdiPure 2, they really messed it up. They put the lacing to the side. It wasn't the same softness. And then the 3s, you know, the 3s were pretty much the same thing. Lacing on the side, blah, blah, blah. The 4s looked promising. The 4s were pretty cool because they brought back the actual, like, traditional top of the lacing system, like the tongue and everything. But the problem, well, actually the regular AdiPure 4 actually looks pretty nice. It's the closest thing to these, right? And then, well, then they made the SL version of these. And just to give you an idea, for next year, they're doing a whole nother AdiPure. I mean, this is gonna be a whole nother story. And honestly, I don't like the way the AdiPure is heading, because it's no longer gonna be kangaroo leather. Adidas is trying to find a leather that's soft yet durable, and they're really starting to invest in Taurus leather. So the leather that's on the ID Powers right now is what's going to be on the ID Pure for 2012. So the 2012 model for the ID Pure, it's going to be, I mean, cosmetic wise, like, it's going to look a lot like the original one. You know, there have been some player spottings. You know, we've seen Schweinsteiger wear the prototypes of the ID Pure 2012 model. It's called the ID Pure 11 Pro or some shit like that. I don't know. But it's going to look a lot similar to this. The problem is it's going to be Taurus leather. It's not going to be kangaroo leather anymore, which is unfortunate. So if you, you know, if I was you, I'd stock up on what's left of the ID Pure kangaroo leather versions, because they're no longer going to be made anymore. And I also heard that they're gonna continue doing a SL version of the ID Pure, but I don't know what it looks like. All I know is the 2012 model is gonna be Taurus leather. It's gonna look a lot similar to this. The studs are rounded. They're not gonna be blades anymore. They're actually look really interesting. The studs look a lot like the Tiempo studs, so they're rounded and they have like some cushion on them. I have no idea. And then what else? Oh, and then also there's gonna be a My Coach module on the actual boot. So like right here, it's gonna have like a little bump. It's gonna have like a little hump actually. And I guess what it is you'll be able to buy this little My Coach module, like a little chip or whatever, and you're gonna slide it inside the sole of the boot. And I guess what it does, it like tracks your running and shit like that. I don't know. To me, it's just like a gimmick. I don't really see the point of it, but hey, people will buy it, unfortunately. So it's like a give and take. Adidas is really like fucked up big time, because they made it really good. Like 2012, the 2012 version looks really good. The only problem I have with it is that it's not kangaroo leather. Like, I don't understand why they just make it kangaroo leather to make everybody happy, because it looks a lot like the original ID Pure with rounded studs and the My Coach bump. So yeah, that is my final thoughts on this one. Great boot, but don't try the leather ID Zero before you try these, because then you won't like these. But there's nothing like the original ID Pure, which is amazing. And if you do have some somewhere in your closet or garage or whatever, they're just chilling, and they're a size 8. Any between sizes 8 and 9, let me know if you have any. I will be more than willing to take them off your hands. But that is the ID Pure range. If you guys let me know what is your favorite ID Pure. Obviously, you know mine. Let me know if you guys like the 2s or 3s or the SL, 4, whatever. Cheers.